Salam and peace. You got your partner, Pookie Dooley Squad, better known as AAWS1, dig it? Also known as Abdel Wahid Rajel Saifuddin, your partner that fishes and do the foodie, and is a foodie, and your Aki in Iman. Once again, it's that time of year when I start to tell stories. This is another story from the Christian to Al-Islam series. This is about, I met an individual from the Mexican Mafia who was a Muslim. He was from Longo, aka known as Long Beach. This is how it went. Sitting up in there chilling, you know what I'm saying? Just want to go home. Next thing you know, this cat rolls in, you know what I mean? Goes over to his area. And then, you know, some of the Serenos, they was over there, you know, when he came in, you know, because he's fresh in, whoop. Then the next thing you know, they all left out and went to the meeting room, right? Now, as soon as this dude get there, they all leave out and go to the meeting room. That's what usually happens before some funk jump off. You know, when people got boots on and stuff like that, it feel funky, we may ride against them or they may ride against us. We'll go and have a meeting first. You know what I mean? We meet with our people, and then the heads of each person's, everybody's people, then they'll get together. You know, then we'll have a dorm announcement. We had it in our dorm. Like I said, if you had any beef, you could just stand up right there by your bunk, let it be known what's happening. You know what I'm saying? So it can be addressed. You see what I'm saying? So they go in, so we looking, the brothers, you know, we start grouping up like, hey man, get your boots on, because ain't no telling what's going on. You know what I mean? Because, you know, man, it's hot in the summertime, and even though we had some tension sometime, it depended on certain individuals that came in that didn't fit into the program. You know, but some individuals that did fit into the program did have some beef up in there and was able to continue and just migrate on through, smash their beef, whatever, boom. So we suited and booted up now too. They come out, right? Boom, they chill. Our Spice Mike, Brother Spice, I already said it in the last video, right? From the line, he was representing us. You know what I'm saying? He was, there's a certain thing that they have in prison too, where they have people from every race that on like a certain committee. I forgot the name of it, but he was on that, right? And he went and found out that everything was cool. You know what I mean? And I was like, all right, cool, right? But I noticed every time I checked this dude out in this area, he always had these two dudes with him all the time. They always went to the yard with him. They always went to the bathroom with him. When he went to the stove, well, basically, you know, all his partners could be to the stove with him. You know what I mean? Because he was going full draw. He was looking out for his people. That's one thing I can say about the Rasa. They look out for their people. You know what I'm saying? Inshallah, we'll look out for ours sometimes. And I'm wallahi. You know what I'm saying? I swear. You know what I'm saying? I don't say that often. I'm standing on al-haq, the truth. Anyway, I'm checking him out, right? Gang of tattoos, bald head, and he had the little genie tail that from the top, the hair that came down. Like you look on the cartoons and you see the genie. He's got a bald head and he's got that long string of hair. He had one just like that, right? So I'm gonna cut the story short. Some months went by, right? I'm checking him out. Now, mind you, I'm not under Shahada yet. I'm not a Muslim. I did not say wa ashadu illa illallah wa ashadu anna Muhammadan Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam. I didn't say that. You all right? You know what I mean? So boom. I didn't do that until about a week before I got ready to parole. So one day I'm sitting on my bunk and I'm chilling. So dude walks over to me, right? But his two partners, they stay over in this area. So he came over to me. And I looked at him, he looked at me and he said, "What's up, man?" I said, "What's happening?" Like that, right? I'm tripping. I'm like, okay, what's happening? So then he said, "Assalamu alaikum." That's exactly what he said to me. And I looked at him. Now, I ain't no Muslim now. I don't know how to respond to somebody then who wasn't a Muslim. You know, we have a certain response that we say to people that we don't think are Muslims. You know, we just say wa alaikum, and you can research the hadith, right, where that came from. You know, it came from the Yahudis, the Jews was dissing Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam, but that's a different story anyway. I greeted him back. Walaikum wassalam, right? I said, you ain't just saying that to me because you think I'm a Muslim, right? And he was like, nah. He said, I'm a Muslim. Then I looked, you know. I was like, no, shh, like that, right? And he was like, yeah. He was like, yeah, I'm a Muslim. You know what I mean? He told me, you know, when he took a shahada and stuff like that. He said, then he looked at me, he said, wait a minute, hold on. He went over to his locker, came back with some books. Straight al-Islam, yo. Straight Sunnah. He showed me them books. I was like, oh, okay. And then I looked at him and I said, why you not rolling with us? Right? Then he looked at me and said, it's complicated. I said, it's like that? He says, like that. I said, well, you know, we work through complications. There ain't like there's no Serenos on this vicinity that aren't Muslims. You know what I'm saying? Because we had an incident with some Serenos that was on the in the hotel. You know what I mean? And they was getting beef for coming to Juma. You know what I mean? So we was able to get with them brothers all at the Musala and lay it down. You know what I'm saying? Just to say, let them know, man, hey, man, they rolling with us, man. We don't want no problems, but if y'all gonna keep sweating them, then you already know what's gonna happen. You know what I mean? We gonna ride for them. But I remember seeing the brothers at Juma. They had tattoos and everything. After we cleared all that up, them brothers was coming to Juma, yo. And I'm not saying, you know, we hella raw, we hella hard. I'm not saying that because it's Allah who's Akbar that's writing this, yo. We not writing nothing. We just living our lives. Anyway, I said, well, why? You know, he said, it's complicated. And I said, oh, really? He said, yeah. He said, you know, he said, I'm rolling with that Mafia thing. Like that, right? And I told him like this. I said, well, I don't need to know all your business. You know what I'm saying? I said, but all I need, as long as I know that you where you are and not where I am, then you already know what's up. Because, you know, ain't no protection from us. You know what I mean? And he was like, and I said, you know, that's going to be a sticky situation in here. You see what I'm saying? With us brothers knowing. So far, I'm the only brother know that you're Muslim, right? And he was like, yeah. I said, well, you already know I'm finna tell him. You know what I mean? So that's going to be a sticky situation in here. You know what I'm saying? You Sereno, you rolling with them. You know what I mean? And he was like, yeah, man. You know, then he just let me know flat out. He said, man, I'm running this 3-yard right here. You know what I mean? Everything that come in here, I get a piece of, right? I told him once again, I said, hey, I don't need to know all your business. That's what I told him. I'm calling him Aki now. He a brother. I don't even know how all your business. You know what I'm saying? As long as I know where you stand, it is cool. I'm going to let the Ummah know because our Ummah is moving now. You know what I mean? I don't know why he didn't wait and went to Brother Amin. Brother Amin was running our dorm. He was the most knowledgeable one in our dorm. And he was the clerk, the Muslim clerk. So look at the torpedoism. That's why I'm telling these stories, so you can see for yourself and also say, well, maybe he might have been tripping. I don't think that was a torpedo action right there. But look, you see what I'm saying? There's more knowledgeable people than me that you could have came at in there. Anyway, boom. He said, he went to his locker. He came out of his locker with a gang of stuff, some coffee, some soups, some canned goods. He was like, here, boom. He was like, distribute that out to the brothers. And I was like, all right, cool, boom. So I did that, right? So as the months go on, I'm speeding the story up. He's still in there. He doing his thing. He ain't coming to Juma or nothing with us, but he conversate with us and we conversate with him. You know, and we read, you know, he read our books. We read his books. His wife was mailing him in Islam. You know what I mean? And I was like, I can't remember if his wife was a Muslim or not, but I think that she was, right? Because she was mailing him in straight photocopies of books. You know what I mean? Good books, a sunnah, books that fit the sunnah, right? So then he got to the part I was telling you about. We started getting suited and booted. We was getting ready to riot against the Hispanics, right? It started getting funky up in there. And I remember we had heard that they was smuggling knives up off in there. And this white bed, this house Negro that we had that was in our dorm, he didn't tell us. He knew that they was doing it, but he didn't tell us. And this hustle, guess what this hustle was, y'all? Shining the police boots, right? The police that work in our dorm, he would shine their boots, you know? And that was his hustle, shining others' boots. You know what I'm saying? Now, hey, ain't nothing wrong. You can do that. That's on you. You know, that's on you. You know, there's people in there that shine the regular inmates' boots back then. You know what I mean? That's how I learned. I had somebody do mines. I paid to get my boots done until I learned myself. You know what I mean? But anyway, we started getting ready to get suited and booted up there. We started getting ready to have a ride with these fools, right? So I remember they kept, whenever you see them fools with boots on at night, you already know it's going down. You know, it was me, brother Amin, Jay. We was the only Muslims in there at that time. So we got our own area, right? Our area was where brother Amin's bunk was, because he was the senior in there. He the uncle. So we over there. You know what I mean? It's like we let the brothers know. Y'all fighting over the phones and all that, we ain't doing none of that. You know what I mean? But we ain't gonna let no brothers get hurt if they in our area. You know what I'm saying? But other than that, y'all already know we don't get down for that. You know what I mean? And we didn't. But when it comes time for then also for an all-out riot, when it's them against us, and it ain't over no phones or nothing like that, it's just beef. Oh yeah, we're in that. We're Allahu Akbar. We praying that we got the war Malaicas with us, because this is going down. You know what I mean? It's going down for real, because we're telling ourselves, inshallah, something happened to us, inshallah, I get a straight jot into Jannah al-Firdaus. You know what I mean? I believe this is a good cause. It don't mean it may be a good cause for you though. But you telling yourself, man, I get up in here, I'm dying for this one. You know what I'm saying? It's easy for you to sit back, easy for me to sit back and say that to you actually in that situation. It takes you have to have the utmost iman to say that. But you also gonna say that too because you need an increase of iman, because you're scared. You know, I'll sit here and tell you every time they got ready to ride, I was scared. I ain't gonna lie. And that was Allah getting at me saying, yeah, you got fear, but you better fear me. You know, for taqallah. What y'all know about that? For taqallah. So fear Allah. You see what I'm saying? Anyway, boom. We just get ready to get down with him. I went and talked to him. I said, hey, I said, man, your people, man, it's gonna get bad up in here, man. We heard they sneaking knives up in here. Oh yeah, the white bread Negro that heard about that, they was about to kill dude. You know what I mean? Let me get back to that. They was about to kill dude. And we had a meeting about that, right? Them brothers was finna kill him, homie. He was about to get stabbed up. He was done, right? We went in there and basically helped that brother get off of there, because they was ready to kill that dude, man. And we was like, yo, man, he already a white man. He was already a white man's nigga. We already knew that from the beginning. You know what I'm saying? If y'all gonna do something, whoop his ass and roll him up out of here. You know what I mean? You like, don't kill him, man. Them brothers was ready to kill him, man. Because that's dangerous. You see people sneaking in knives and you ain't gonna say nothing to nobody. Then when we finally catch it, because, you know, we got the pipeline going, you know, kites is flying, letting us know from other buildings and stuff and other yards, like, hey, man, this movement, that's what happened in there. So they was about to kill that fool, man. We was like, nah, man, if y'all gonna do something, man, we like just roll his ass up. He already got a jacket on him. Where he gonna go? He gonna have to PC up. You know what I mean? He already got a jacket on him. You know what I'm saying? We gonna call him a snitch. Boom, put a jacket on his ass. Get him out of here. You know, hey, they whooped his ass. Woo, I believe that right there. They rolled his ass up out of there, okay? Boom. So I was talking to his brother about it. I said, hey, man, your people, man, it's getting ready to get foul up in here, man. You know what I mean? So, you know, hey, you need to let them know what's happening, right? And he was like, yeah. He said, I already been talking to him. That's why we've been having the meetings. He said, I keep on doing that to stop them from doing something. Because I keep telling them, every time y'all get booted, them brothers is going to be ready to ride on us. He kept telling them that. You know, we wasn't real low on numbers, right? We had sufficient numbers. They outnumbered us, but we had size up in there. And brothers tell you right now, in your mind, you're going to tell yourself, I can whoop two or whatever race is in there, period. You're going to tell yourself that. Because you've seen it happen in there. You're going to tell yourself that when you facing a life and death situation. You're going to say, man, they coming at me. I'm taking two of them. Straight up. You know what I'm saying? Straight up. And it's a damn shame you got to live like that. When we all created in different colors and different creeds so we can learn from one another. But anyway, we had a meeting, right, in the dorm. So the brother stood up, right? And he said, boom, he said, man, he said, I don't want to have no beef in here. I'm trying to get my points down. I'm getting ready to go home. He said, most of my people, some of them got significant time. They trying to go home. I'm meeting with the brothers. They want to go home. You know what I mean? He said, I can understand we all got tensions. We all got beef. but we all need to squash this, man. We've been living together in here in harmony. He said, I like this place since I got here. I'm trying to go home from here. And then he said, it's like this in here. For those of you who don't know, I'm a Muslim. And I got 3 brothers in here. And he was looking at his people when he said it. He said, and I got 3 brothers in here. And I ain't going to let nothing happen to them. He said it straight like that. He said that straight to his people. He said, I got 3 brothers in here. I'm not going to let nothing happen to them. You know what I'm saying? So he's like, man, we need to squash this. Right? Then Spice got up, boom, said what Spice said, what he had to say. You know what I'm saying? And then, boom, it like went away. You know what I mean? It was like cool, right? And then I'm gonna give you this quick story, and then I'm up out of here. One time I was coming from work, right? Boom, came in. I was changing into my yard clothes because they still had weights and stuff on the yard at that time. So I was trying to get out there, come in, get dressed, because you got unlocks. You got to unlock where, boom, you could, they unlock it, then there's movement. You can go to where you got to get to, then there's, then you go be locked up there for a certain amount of time, so there's another unlock, and then boom, you come back. So I'm trying to catch that unlock so I can go out to the yard. You see what I'm saying? So I'm putting my clothes on and everything. I see him and his 2 partners, they come in, right? The ones that's with him all the time. I remember them before he got there. They was cool. But they was, they was like calling shots with the cat that was in there. Anyway, he strolled over there to me with him and his partner, right? He said, Assalamu alaikum. I said, wa alaikum assalam. He said, what's happening? I said, man, I'm getting ready to roll up to the yard real quick and catch this last 2 hours, catch this last hour of the yard, man. And he was like, man, check this out. He said, I don't think you should go to the yard today. I said, what? He said, I don't think you should go to the yard today. I said, like that? He said, like that. I said, okay. Now, the only yard that was open was on the 2 yard, on the 2 side. Our yard was closed at that time. That's why I was trying to catch that unlock. I can migrate through the hallways, go on the 2 side, and then go on the yard, because the yard is right there, right before you get into the buildings. You cross the street by the canteen, and then the weightlifter pile was right there for 2 yard. So it was something happening on the 2 yard. I didn't hear nothing about it though, but this is what he told me. Don't go to the yard. I said, all right, cool. I said, cool. I'm going to listen to the brother, right? Cool. He a veteran. Been doing this for years. Cool. Next thing you know, I'm sitting up there reading. I hear the horn go off. I hear the goons running down the hallway. I was like, it's cracking over there. And it was, man. He was on that yard with his boys. It was cracking up over there. They had rolled on the white boys, as a matter of fact. They wasn't rolling on the brothers. They had rolled on some white boys, right? Anyway, long story short, he didn't really fully participate in our program, but every time he went to the store or every time his wife mailed him in a package, he always gave me something to share with the brothers. And we always talked with each other on the real. You know what I mean? Because I told him, I said, man, I got some affiliation with Long Beach. And he was like, really? Yeah. And I told him my affiliation with Long Beach. He was only like a few years older than me. You know what I mean? No, he was maybe about 5 or 6 years older than me. Because remember, I told y'all then, you may have somebody black up under you on your bunk or on top of you, somebody white. That's how I was in there. But anyway, long story short, that's my story about a Mexican Mafia cat from Long Beach, who was a Muslim. I'm not going to say his name. I said enough as it is. I'm telling you what he told me, and I'm standing on El Hawk. I was going to say, well, I knew someone who was affiliated with him. But he didn't say that to me. He didn't say I'm an affiliate. He said, I'm with that boom. You know what I mean? That's what he told me. You know what I'm saying? And I watched this get down in there, right? And the thing that I loved about it was he was a Muslim. That's it and that's all. You got your partner. Y'all know what it is. And y'all know what to do. Pookie Dooley Squad, better known as Abd al-Wahid Rajil Saifuddin, with the Christianity to Al-Islam series, yo. Inshallah, you're tuned into the next episode. Inshallah, it'll be interesting. Inshallah, you laughed. Inshallah, you enjoyed it. Salam and peace. Remain blessed. You and your family.